All right, so today we're going to do area of sector notes. But before we start really with that new material, we want to talk about finding the arc length. So if you remember from chapter 10, arc length, I talked about it as L over circumference, which is 2 pi r, equals x over 360. And remember that x was your central angle, right? And some of you actually went through and changed it. We moved this over, so we have L by itself. So it would be x over 360 times 2 pi r, right? So we are going to use this version right now to fill it in right here. And then we're going to talk about area of sector, which the area of the sector is going to end up being a very similar formula. So that's why I want to recap this first. Okay, so remember L stands for arc length. Our x has to do with our central angle, which in this case is 100. And then we're going to take that fraction and we're going to multiply it by 2 pi times our radius. And our radius in this case is 7. Okay, so at this point, pretty much everything that we're doing is going to be calculator related. So if we look at, sorry, I have to actually get my calculator. 100 over 360, we can actually reduce that to 5 over 18. And we're going to multiply it by 14 pi. 7 times 2 is 14. So if I multiply that by 14, I now get 35 pi over 9. Okay, and I want to keep it just like that. You can type it in and multiply that 35 over 9 times pi, which ends up giving you a decimal of 12.2 and so on. Okay, so this would be inches. All right, so that was arc length. This time we're going to talk about the area of the sector, which actually is a very similar formula. We're going to use A over, now, instead of using circumference, we're going to talk about area of the circle, which, let me backtrack for a second. Area of a sector just means that you have this pie and you cut out a piece and you want to know what the area is of that piece of pie versus the whole pie, right? So area of the sector, big A, over area of everything, which area of a circle is pi r squared. And it's still going to equal x over 360. So again, we can take this and move it over. So you have area equals x over 360 times pi r squared. Okay, so that's the formula that we're going to end up using today. So using the same one, we're going to say area equals x, again, is 100 over 360. But now it's times pi times your radius, which is, what the heck? Pi times your radius, which is 7 squared. So the same thing's going to end up happening while you reduce this. You get 5 over 18. But now this is times 49 pi. So now we have 5 divided by 18 times 49. As a fraction, we now get 245 pi over 18, which, if you multiply pi in, you would end up getting 42.8 inches squared. Okay. On your homework, I will specify whether I want exact, which would mean these ones, the ones with pi, or if I'm going to have you round. I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to just have you round right now. Okay. All right, so this part right here just shows you that same formula that I was just showing you. Area of the sector, which is A, equals your central angle. Now remember, this central angle is actually the same thing as this measure. So they just wrote it as the measure of the arc instead of the central angle. Same thing though, times pi r squared. So we're just going to do one more here. Sorry, this wasn't supposed to be in that. So in this one, again, we have area equals x over 360 times pi r squared. So we're just going to plug it in. Our x this time is 120. So 120 over 360 times pi times my radius squared, so 9 squared. 120 over 360, if you reduce that, you end up getting 1/3. So we have 1/3 times pi times 81, or 81 pi, you can switch that around, which in other words is just 81 divided by 3, makes 27. And this would be centimeters squared. Okay, now again, if they want you to have a decimal, then you would round to whatever they say. For me right now, I just did the 10th. Okay, so that is the whole lesson for today. We are just using this formula right here, and we're plugging in and reducing. So hopefully you had a nice little recap with what we already knew with our arc length. It's pretty much the same thing, except instead of 2 pi r, it's pi r squared. So I hope you have a good day. Make sure you fill out the Microsoft forms at this point to get credit for your work today. Have a good one. Bye.